We have I'm coming for you first. It's a blank page because that is how every story must begin. So let's see if we can do something interesting with this. All right. When Alton and Elroy failed to answer their phones, what's this guy's name? Teddy decided to get his girlfriend and her son out of the house. You know what? I'm not going to name who the people are yet. Let's just say decided to get everyone out of the apartment before they were all dead. All right. Angela, we're going right now. Pack a bag for you and Javi. Only the important stuff. Only what you need to survive. Only. What are you talking about? Why are you yelling, Teddy? Calm down before you freak out, Javi. And tell me what's going on. I'm trying to tell you. He pocketed his phone and ran to the window, pulling back the corner of the drape just a little. He wished the lights behind him were out. The street lights were dim, and the block looked empty. Other lights were on in various floors of the other buildings. The flicker of TVs danced on the glass in some of those rooms. No traffic on the street, though. Foot or otherwise. Frank, thank you for being here. Still, he saw only danger and death out there. Tom Duffy, thank you for dropping in. All right. Get packed and get moving. You can argue with me once we're on the road but not a second sooner. Teddy, you're scaring me. You should be scared. We're in danger. I have no time to explain. Just pack. 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 Please, baby. Just do what I ask and trust that I'm trying to keep you and your boy safe. Teddy. She looked so lost. Looked so untrusting of him. Is this story a veiled threat to Armand? Obviously. No. There's Angela. I don't think Armand ever dated an Angela. I'm not sure if any of his kids that he knows of are named Javi. And no one would call him Teddy. Although, if you think of Armand as a teddy bear, then maybe. But I don't think so. That's not what I'm thinking. All right. She looked so lost. Looked so untrusting of him. If she had any idea what prompted the note he had just opened, she'd know he wasn't a man to be trusted. An exploding teddy bear. There you go. Angela, you'll have to trust me for now. I can explain later, but there's no time now. Please, just pack and do it as quickly as you possibly can. She hesitated only a moment longer and then turned into a run back through the hallway. She called over her shoulder. Oh, I don't need a... Bears are all the rage in 2022 literary fiction. There you go. Why would you not? She called over her shoulder as she went. Pack for how long? He knew the answer was a very long time. Unless they took too long in here, and then it might not matter for any of them. He knew the answer was a very long time. If he told her that, she'd pack a lot more. And every extra second might be the difference between life and old vengeance. Just enough for a night or two. If we're out any longer. We can buy what we need. Mom, Teddy hoped there wouldn't be a long process of convincing the boy to. Javi, pack a bag. Just one bag. Your two favorite outfits, right down to underwear and socks for 2 days. One warm and one cool. Alright. If you want some toys, just what can fit in the bag. Do I need my school stuff? Alright. Why? Why, Mom? No why. Just do it. Do I need my school stuff? Not this time. Hurry, and all questions are for after. She did a better job of handling the orders than he had. And she truly had no idea how deep the peril really was. Teddy wondered if maybe he shouldn't go without them. It was possible that the threat was very specific to him, and they had nothing to do with the plan to take Teddy out first, like the note said. He doubted it, though. They might use Angela and the kid for bait. Maybe torture them too. But the reality was that whoever went to the trouble to let Teddy know they were coming would hurt anyone he loved, because that's what he did to them. He had some guesses of who might have have sent the note and who might also have the resources to carry this out, but his best guess was that he had no idea. He'd probably find out when they finally got hold of him. I'm rich with J-Coin. There you go. Almost as good as money, except it can't buy you anything. He'd probably find out when they finally got hold of him and made good on their threats. You reminded Armand about J-Coin, and now he's redeeming. I assume he wants a HoloCon story, so we'll share one of those just a moment here. He'd probably find out when they finally got hold of him and made good on their threat. All right. So we'll leave Teddy there for a moment. Armando Rosamilia has redeemed Get Jay to tell you a fun fact. Now, I could go with another embarrassing story about Armand, but what I know is from listening to his stream, he probably wants some HoloCon fun facts. So he and I, it's actually the last convention I went to. So clearly this convention was cursed, and it was HoloCon, which took place in, I believe the town was Dalton, Georgia. And it was just a little convention we didn't really know much about. I think Armand had got invited as a guest, and then asked me if I wanted to join him, because it's always good to have friends around. So I signed on just as a vendor, and just checked, and they are having their 20th one in October. Oh, well, there's still time. Oh, 20 is going to be a big deal, huh? So we didn't know anything about this convention, but we go in, and it's a little hotel up on a hill in Dalton, Georgia, as all haunted houses are. And clearly this is a close-knit community, not Dalton, but well, I'm sure Dalton's fine too, but the convention, which had been going on for a number of years, and you had a lot of people that kept coming. They had kind of their own traditions and stuff. It was kind of a bizarro version of every other convention that we'd ever been to. So Scares the Carriers is run by Joe Ripple, and the bombastic fellow who ran HoloCon was also named Joe. When we went into the vendor's room, it was kind of an old abandoned kitchen in the hotel, and there were like broken doors that kind of led into dark alcoves back behind what used to be a freezer, and they set up the convention tables in there, and I had my convention table kind of in the hallway that led into this abomination of a room, and I kind of looked directly across from me. It's just these like broken doors and pieces of an old freezer. I'd sent pictures of it just to kind of show people what it was like, and people got like legitimately mad online. Like they were upset about how I was being treated, when I just thought it was kind of funny. But it was insanity. Like they were doing these auctions, and like the guy Bizarro Joe like hurt himself real bad, and then had somebody dress him in his costume and set him up in a chair, and he was always real concerned about that the guests were happy and all that, so Armand had to lie to him and say he was happy, and after Armand left on Sunday morning and vanished on them, I had to convince the guy that Armand was okay, he just had something to go to, which was not the case. So he was all concerned about that, making sure that the guests were cared for, and he had a special dinner for the guests, and one of the women there, or a guest's wife, I guess it was allergic to something that was in the food, and they kept asking if there was something in there, and finally had to get someone to confess it was in there. So the woman's having a real problem, but Bizarro Joe didn't seem to notice this in the midst of caring so much that everybody was having a good time, I guess. It was very strange. I actually sold a bunch of books. So like on Saturday, And then leading into Sunday, I sold several books. It wasn't like nearly the best convention I've ever been to for sales, but it wasn't dead. But still, I would never go to it again. It was just so strange that everything was sort of the weird opposite of how you would expect it to go. It was just it gets stranger and stranger and stranger the longer we were there. He hated books, yes. he he was introducing all the guests, and I'd slipped in late and was sitting down with him as he was introducing everybody and going through his spiel. And he had said something and like had misquoted somebody's book title or something, and somebody had given him a hard time about it. He said, "Oh, I don't read books. I hate books." Of course, this is a convention, and you got authors selling books. And it just got stranger and stranger. And Armand had to go to this dinner where Bizarro Joe almost killed this woman, and and Shelley was like, I'm not going to this dinner." And so we went to like a I want to say it was a mix of a couple Asian styles of meal or whatever. It might have been Japanese and Chinese. I can't remember. But we went there, got so much food I couldn't finish it all. So Shelley and I hung out and ate while Armand went to the strangest dinner of all time. And it kept getting weirder and weirder. Like there were all these events and like little party things, and each one was just strange, and like all the people knew each other. So it was very much like it wasn't MondoCon. Although we could probably describe MondoCon to people and make it sound weird to them, but like every event, every person, every like interaction was just stranger and stranger. And part of it was that they'd been around each other a lot, so there was all these. It was 2017 Hotel California. It was 2019. It was 2019 because that was the last. That's literally the last convention I went to. That's the last one I made it to. Up until AuthorCon coming up here at the end of March, beginning of April. So we got cursed coming out of that town, and the pandemic hit and all that. But the fact that they had like kind of their own shorthand. I retired on a high note, that's for sure. They kind of had their own shorthand of things, and so it was obvious they'd kind of been together a lot. But the fact that everything was just so bizarre at this convention, and we were outsiders coming in, and even if we'd been there a while, it still would have been so very strange. And it was it was a very country, very backwoods crowd, so a lot of folks like that. Nothing against that, but that just added another element to the strangeness. Now we kind of enjoyed like leaving the convention and going around town, so we ended up finding like a really good country restaurant that had great vegetables and barbecue and all kinds of stuff in downtown Dalton. I want to say it was Dalton. Maybe I'm saying the wrong town. It was North Georgia, but I think I might have the wrong town. Maybe it wasn't Dalton. I can't remember. It was somewhere in Georgia. A Month of Dunkin' interview with Jay was done there. Yeah, that's right. We went to Dunkin' Donuts. So Armand and Shelley and I had a semi good time, kind of going to the places. But then also, there were other normal people there too. And cosplay person. And I remember posting online how strange this convention was, and then somebody I barely knew who I hadn't talked to said, "Oh, is that in Dalton, Georgia right now?" And I'm like, "How do you know that?" And she's like, "Another friend of mine who is talking about being at the strangest convention of her life." So there was more than one author and more than one. She was like a cosplay person or whatever, but there's more than one guest there that just felt like they had been pulled into another dimension, and it was so very strange, and it just got weirder and weirder as the convention went on. And it was so much stuff that I can't even keep track of it in my head. Red Fox cosplay, still talk to her on IG. That's funny. Yeah, you're right. But it just got weirder. Like it was just such a pile-on of stranger and stranger things, and offenses. This idea of like how badly can you be treated? How badly can you be inadvertently treated at a convention? That just it was just so much strange stuff that you forget it all. Oh, there was a woman next to me who was doing vampire teeth, and she was running she was running this grinding thing that just kind of threw pieces of these acrylic teeth in every direction to where they're bouncing off the walls and stuff. And she used like the same bowl of water to wash everything all along, sticking her hands into people's mouths without gloves, adhering these vampire teeth. There was no sanitation at all. She started COVID with her hands. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit. And so it was just one thing after another like that. It was just so gross and so out there. Someone was playing a radio back behind their table, and like each song was just some strange thing that sort of punctuated the oddness of the whole convention. Where you're sitting there in this like strange dirty hallway in an abandoned kitchen for this vendor's room. Oh wow, it was good times. If that's the last convention I ever went to, that would have been appropriate. But I'm hopefully going to hit one at the end of March, beginning of April that'll break the curse finally and in COVID. So that's how that happened. But it was like being in an alternate universe, 100%. He had some guesses of who might have sent the note. Let's fix that. And who might also have the resources to carry this out. But his best guess was that he had no idea. He'd probably find out when they finally got hold of him and made good on their threat. His phone rang. I'll say vibrated. All right, Tom Duffy, I've been to a grand total of 1 convention, so I have no frame of reference. But sanitation was an issue there also. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, you should go to more conventions, man. I know that COVID's going on, but at some point, get back out there and see some. Especially now you're getting a book together. All right, his phone vibrated in his hand. Oh, now when I transfer this to a video for YouTube, I got to decide if I'm leaving that whole story about HaloCon in there or not. Let's see. His phone vibrated in his hand. MondoCon. There you go. And he not almost. And he choked HibachiCon. That's what you're talking about. And he choked on his spit. After a fit of coughing that turned into gagging, he finally got it under control and answered. Hello. 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 All right. I'm going to turn the fan on. It actually got warm in here. It's 76 degrees outside. Can you believe that? All right. This morning it was in the 30s when I went to when I got up at 4:45 in the morning to drive to a hospital to work out with a heart monitor on for my cardiac rehab. All right. Are you okay? This is the character asking. If you guys aren't okay, you can let me know too. You okay? Teddy. Is that you? Tell me. Who is this? Teddy demanded. Mr. Frank sharing a hibachi's worth of emotes. How far did you have to search to find all those? Who is this? Teddy demanded. Who are you? Where's Teddy? Then it hit him. Connor? Teddy? Why are you calling, man? You sound... Let's do yes, Teddy. Yes, it's me. Alright. You sound bad. Did they get to you? How do you know about that? How do you know about that? Who is it? I can probably guess, but I don't know how they would know. Hello, hope you're doing well, Jay. I am Rotting Bed Frame. I've enjoyed dropping in on your stream from time to time and seeing what you're creating when you share it online too. Hope things are going well for you. I can probably guess, but I don't know how they would have figured out it was us. Then then Teddy had another revelation. Fear was really sharpening his thoughts for the first time in years. Someone must have talked. Why did you call, Connor? Who would have talked? Okay, let me add something in here just so we know that the action's still placed in the midst of what's going on. Something crashed down the hall, and Teddy prepared to run. For a second, he wasn't sure if he was running to them or out the door away from whatever might have gotten them. Then Angela called. That was me. Sorry. Please hurry, he called back. He remembered he needed to be packing himself too. He ran to the corner of the living room that served as his office. Teddy. The voice... Well, oh no, I say Connor's voice. Connor... How am I spelling this? Yeah, with an E. Alright, Connor's voice was loud enough to carry from where Teddy held the phone down by his side. I'm sorry. The wrong thing there. Sorry, Connor. What is it? You said you thought someone talked. Who? Why? Could have been a drunken confession. Could have been guilt. Who knows? At this point, who cares? I care a lot. Man, we're in trouble. Tell me how you knew to call me tonight, Connor. Okay. Teddy flipped his office chair. I'll say rolling chair. His rolling chair to its side to get at the bag behind the desk. All right. I got a note, same as you, I guess. Teddy paused with the tote bag's straps in his fist. What note? What did it say? It said, we were all dead. I got one too, obviously. What did yours say? I'm coming for you first. For some reason, Teddy couldn't bring himself to say that out loud. Pretty much, okay, let me fix that. Pretty much the same as yours. Where are you headed? Never mind. Don't answer that over the phone. I wouldn't dream of it. Teddy hauled the bag out of its hiding spot and cast thick balls of dust onto the carpet. It had been a long time since he'd touched this. Alright, let's fix that. Been a long time since he touched this, and he would have been happy to forget it ever existed. He had no clothes or toiletries in here. All right, let's see if we can fix that. He had no clothes or toiletries in here. He had no intention of packing anything else. If he lived through tonight, everything else could be bought. Everything else could be bought tomorrow or the day after. They got Alton. Connor said. What? Teddy shook all over. He reached for where the back of his rolling chair should have been. But it wasn't there. All right. He caught the edge of the desk instead and managed to remain upright. What did you say? Alton strangled, I think. Isn't that something? Maybe they plan to do that to each of us. His note said that they were going for him first. So I guess they're done with that and coming for the rest of us. So I guess they're done with that and coming for the rest of us now. Makes sense that Alton would be first after he was the one that don't say it over the phone, Connor. No, right. You're right. All right. Festivus for the rest of us. No, right. You're right. We should probably hang up in case they're tracking where we're all driving. I'm about to get on the road myself. Teddy said. You're not rolling yet? What are you thinking? Get the hell out of there right now. I'm trying. Have you heard from the others? You're the first one to answer. You're the first one to answer, man. Get going. Connor hung up. Let's say Teddy held the phone stupid for a while longer. Angela ran into the living room with a bright, okay, I guess living room's 2 words. Angela ran into the living room with a bright pink bag bulging at the sides. She dropped it on the couch and said, I swept your toiletries and some clothes into my bag. I didn't know you already had one. Teddy looked down at the dusty thing beside him. No, this is something else. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for trusting me. Where's Javi? Getting him now. She hesitated again. He could almost see the questions just inside the tight line of her lips. She had a right to ask, and he was so floored by the news of Alton that he'd probably just answer her at this point. Say, but she didn't ask. She went back up the hall for Javi. Okay, moving right along. didn't make sense that Alton got the same note as him. They couldn't both be first. Alton clearly preceded him into death, but by how much? And why was Connor's note different? Why was it broader? Why was any of this happening? That last one, he could answer, even if he wanted to forget about all of it. They probably even deserved it, but that still didn't make it okay. It still wasn't a reason to bring Angela or her kid into it. Although he understood that being part of the vengeance, Teddy couldn't remember if Alton had somebody. He wished he'd asked Connor how he found out about Alton already being dead, strangled. He considered calling him back. Alright. The phone vibrated again. And Teddy answered. Connor? No, Teddy. This is Stacy. Stacy, I just heard from Connor about Alton. I assume you know what's going on. What happened to Alton? Did they get him too? Who else? Only Elroy that I know of. He was drowned in his tub, and then they opened his throat. Jesus, Stacy. Connor told me Alton was strangled. Teddy realized now why Alton and Elroy hadn't answered. So Connor is alive so far. I guess you guys got notes too. What did yours say? Then I'd be last. Teddy prepared to lie. Teddy prepared to lie, but prepared to lie about his note, but she didn't ask. Let's keep that the same line. Instead, she said they got his wife and their girls, all of them. He did horrible stuff. Probably right in front of Elroy before they did him. How do you know this? I'm friends with his cousin. And then I saw the details online. The ones they released anyway. His cousin said he was rushing his family out the door. He was rushing his family out the door, and whoever it was swept them back inside. The neighbors saw and even called the cops. The neighbors saw and even called the cops. Good response time, but they were gone, and it was all done by the time they got there. My God. Teddy rubbed at his mouth. Well, Connor got on the road at least. Have you not left yet? I'm trying. My girlfriend and her kid. Trying to get them out the door. Like, oh God, Teddy. Keep your eyes open. Make sure the way is clear. I will. Make sure they got Elroy. Make sure they got Elroy and Alton. They got Elroy as he was leaving. That was in daylight. Almost an hour ago. Teddy tried to remember. Teddy tried to remember what time zone Elroy was in. He hadn't kept up with any of them that closely. Forgetting what happened for him had included keeping the rest of them distant. I have to let you go, Stacy. Be safe. He hung up without waiting for her response. Angela, please, we got to go. Just a minute. We're hurrying. He rolled his eyes as he dropped his dusty bag next to hers. I forgot to grab the credit cards. She added. Bring them quick, but we're not going to use them for a while. I don't get paid until Friday. Maybe not at all if I lose my job. Are you sure about this? Yes. He realized he had barely breathed out the word. So he called louder for her to hear. Yes. What are we going to do for money? Why was she asking questions across the apartment instead of moving along? Did she want to lose her son? See him die in front of her? At the hands of someone expert in pain and death. He almost yelled something to that effect at her, but instead he answered, "I have money we can pick up from certain places. There'll be more than enough. Don't worry about your check. Don't worry about your job right now. Just worry about us getting out of here before. Just come on as quick as you can. We should already be gone." What money? What? I said, what money? How do you have money sitting somewhere when I'm counting pennies to get groceries and the power paid? What money is this? Let's say, even as he wanted to save her life, he now wanted to shake her too. It was a valid question. Money had gotten tight more than once. It was usually her who put in the extra hours to make up the difference. It was a valid question, but that just made him more angry with all their lives on the line. Okay. He said it was money for a situation like this, not for monthly stuff. You'll be glad it was still there. once we're on the road. But I swear to God, Angela, if we don't get out of here soon, it might be too late. What does that mean? You know what it means. It means stop yelling questions and get out here. Teddy turned off the living room light. More light still spilled from the kitchen and the hall. More light still spilled from the kitchen and the hall. More light still spilled from the kitchen and the hall. He parted the curtain and looked out again. This time, 3 cars sat nose to bumper across the street and about half a block down. It didn't look like anyone was in them, but it was dark. They were also parked beyond the reach of the working streetlights. Say Teddy told himself he might have missed them in his first quick glance there in the shadows. He also told himself that wasn't the case. He also told himself that wasn't the case, and that no one would park in the dark on the street in this neighborhood. Say closer to his building, their building. Closer to their building. Closer to their building. 2 figures. Also hidden in the dark. Stood together as if talking. ... or waiting. The ember of a cigarette flared, but failed to light up the face. Teddy. He stumbled backward from the curtain and let out a little squeak. Javi stood rubbing his eyes with the back of the hand not held by his mother. Teddy said nothing and just stared at the boy. Are we ready to go, Teddy? I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know? You just got through. He held up his hands and so, unlike herself, she stopped talking. That's when he spied the terror, let's say the real terror in her eyes. There's someone outside. Her eyes widened. She glanced down at her son, who wasn't really attuning to anything going on right then. Ooh, Teddy. Alright, when you do these stories in one sitting, how much do you already have in your head about what the story will be and how much is done on the spot? Most of it's on the spot. So like for this story, for instance, I'm coming for you first. All I knew was that the guy was getting a note and he was going to run, or try to run. I didn't... this is going a slightly different direction than I thought. I had Teddy's name, Angela's name, her son Javi, and then I had the name of the other characters that were on the phone, and that's all I had. And all I knew about the story was that they had done something in the past. It was coming back for them, and they were in the process of trying to flee. I think in my mind originally I thought it was going to be lighter. I mean, as light as you can make something like this, but that it would be more... I don't know if slapstick is the right word, but the idea of this guy scrambling around trying to put everything together, and then his girlfriend not understanding what was going on, and then him slowly getting the information from everybody. But as I started writing it kind of turned into a little bit darker, a little bit scarier. But again, most of this is just made up as I go. Some of the other stories I have a little bit better idea, and some of it just comes from, I wrote it down on a Post-it in advance and knew I was going to be writing it. And so it kind of rolls around my head some, so some of the details kind of pick up. But even then, a lot of that stuff is real loose and gets dropped as we go along. As I'm working the story out, as I'm writing it, a lot of that stuff kind of comes apart and comes together and that sort of thing. If I'm writing a story separately off stream, then sometimes I'll do a little bit more planning. Usually when I'm doing that, that's a story that I'm writing for a specific call, and so it's not probably they don't want me writing that on stream, because some publishers consider that to already be published at the point that it's being seen. So sometimes I'll plan those a little bit more when I'm writing them off stream, because it is for sort of a different purpose. But usually these are mostly pantsed, so the majority of it is pantsed. I do like put down the names, and sometimes street names, kingdom names, stuff like that, depending on the story, so that I'm not floundering around for those or reusing the same ones every time. But I leave a lot of room for improvisation on a lot of these stories, just simply because of the environment of it being on stream, and the fact that I'm going to take it all the way through. You would think that like an outline would make you write a story faster, but sometimes it puts you in a situation where you might get a little stuck because you got to figure out a few connecting pieces. Whereas if you're just pantsing a story, and I'm sitting, and again, this is for me personally, but I'm sitting and working it out all in one, then I find that just pantsing the whole thing kind of opens it up, because if I start feeling myself getting painted into a corner, then I can just kind of go into any direction that I want. And if I feel like the story needs to come to an end, like that I've kind of exhausted all the juice from the story, and if I go maybe the direction I thought I was going to wrap up the story, it's going to run a little too long to be as good as it could be. Then because I'm pantsing it, I can stick the landing sooner than I originally planned. And so for the most part, I make these up pretty much as I go. Now, in a sense, that's not much different than pantsing a story off stream, except that I'm saying this out loud, so it's almost the same process, even if I wasn't on stream. Although, if I'm not being being recorded or streaming, then typically I'll stop more often. I'll take some breaks. I'll do that kind of thing and kind of let ideas fall into place. Whereas here, there's pressure isn't the right word. I would say positive pressure to kind of keep rolling with it, which in a lot of cases for me, I think sometimes makes a better story. One of the reasons I'm doing this 31 stories in March is because I'm not in a creative rut, but I've had a lot of stuff happen to me recently with health and changes to schedule and changes to mood and some things like that some of which was outside my control. And I think I can use the creative spark. When I did this last year, it was in May last year. I really came out of the gate running. So when I was done with those 31 stories last year, I'd created some things that were better than I thought they could be. Part of it was just this act of constantly writing a new story every day. I got to some titles that I probably wouldn't have dared to do if I wasn't having to come up with 31 of them. And some of those turned out to be better than I expected and surprised myself. Some of those ended up in my short story collection that's available now. And I think a lot of it was just that act of being creative. I was able to pull out more from my writing than I normally would be. And I really hit the ground running after that month, working on some novels and some other things where sort of my creativity had kind of been fostered and pumped up a good bit. And so that I'm part of the reason I'm doing this now in March is to get that again, to sort of put the practice in, and not just being creative with stories, but kind of being creative on the spot, where it's like, okay, now I have the character in this situation. What's the next thing? What is the next step that makes this the best story it can be, or the next step that's truest to the characters, truest to the situation, that kind of thing. So I mean, that's a long way around to say that I'm pretty much pantsing most of these, but there's some method to the madness. It's in a sense, it's almost not even about this story. It's almost more about the story I'm going to write next, or the novel that I'm writing at the same time off stream, as I'm using these stories to kind of get myself moving. So this may be a great story, or it may not, but the fact that I wrote a story yesterday, the fact that I'm writing one today, the fact that I'm writing one tomorrow and the day after that, the 5th, 7th, 10th, 15th story down the line is more likely to be great because I wrote all of these here. And this one may turn out to be gold. Like when I'm done with it, when I give it an edit, when I edit it a second time off screen, this may turn into something amazing, you know. But it's I think it's more the act of putting all those stories together one right after the other, and doing that occasionally in a way that inspires better work out of me all along. But more broadly speaking, that's just how writing works. The one reason you write every day is partly to keep yourself going and to get it done, but it's also to make yourself more creative. It's to encourage that talent within you and develop it, so that not only as you're writing that novel that you're doing well, but the next thing and the next thing and the next thing gets better and better and better just from the act of writing. So that's a big reason why I do this at all, the live streams, and it's a primary reason why I do the 31 stories in a month thing, and the rest of it's just fame and money. That's all the rest of the reason. All right. Her eyes widened. She glanced down at her son, who wasn't really tuning to anything going on right then. Who, Teddy? I don't know. It may be no one. But I'm sorry, Angela. It may be someone. And if it is, I don't know exactly who they are or what they might be capable of. She met his eyes. Thank you, sir. She met his eyes, and he saw something different there. Something that added to his fear and forced him back a couple steps. Say almost to the window again. She followed up the look by saying, "But you know why, don't you? You know why we are in danger. Why my son is in danger. I don't want to know, so don't tell me. But I want you to tell me you know how to keep us safe." We need to leave. We probably should have left faster. Then let's leave. We're not going out front anyway. We're going back to parking, and then you can drive us wherever we need to go as fast as we need to get there, Teddy. even with her in the living room, staring right at him with that dark determination. I don't know, even with her in the living room staring right at him with that dark determination, he wasn't sure he spoke loud enough for her to hear. Are they back there too? I don't know. He was a little louder that time, but not by much. Now Javi had picked up that the adults were distressed, and he looked back and forth between them. I felt like this answer was about me. Back and forth between them, searching for an answer. What are you going to do to keep my son safe? No, let's do it differently, because that would scare the kid. To keep us safe. Teddy swallowed twice. I'm going for the car. Lock the door. Lock the door and call the police. Tell them I did something terrible, but you don't know what. You just know that you're in danger because of it. Tell them to come right now. I'll make a run for it. And maybe this won't fall back on you. Not good enough, Teddy. What? You're afraid to take us out of the apartment? You're afraid to leave us here alone? That's no plan. Try again. Mommy, I'm scared. Enough, boy. Quiet. Adults are talking. Angela, I don't. Enough of that, Teddy. We're safer together. We just have to get away from here. So how? Okay. Okay, Angela. Alright, okay, Angela. Same plan. Be ready at the door, but keep it locked. I'll go for the car. I'll bring it around. If I don't call in 5 minutes, to tell you to come on, or that something went wrong, then you call the cops and tell them someone is trying to... She held up one hand and waved it. I got it. Are you going now? He went in and kissed her hard. He patted Javi's head and passed by quickly, almost feeling guilty for doing that much. He took up his own heavy bag, even though it might slow him down. He took up his own heavy bag, even though it might slow him down, and carried it to the door. He stared through the peephole and tried to see around the corners, even though he knew that was foolish. Okay, close it behind me. I know what to do. Just hurry and be sure to call. Now, she was the one rushing him. Teddy burst out the door, ready to fight, but found the hall empty. The door stayed open. Close it, Angela. No, we're coming. What? No. This is all a waste of time. Oops. What did I just do? Hit one of those keys that does other stuff. Alright. This is all a waste of time. Don't argue. Just move. Javi. I got him. Can you carry one more bag? He didn't answer, but she handed off her pink bag. As she shouldered Javi's pack. He was too big for it, but she brought the boy up onto her hip as she locked the apartment. They moved together down the hall. His phone vibrated in his hand, reminding him. His phone vibrated in his hand, reminding him that he was still holding it. Now wasn't the time to answer, but he did anyway. Hello? Teddy. Who is this? His words wavered as he jogged his heart rate up even higher than it already was, just from fear. All right. Blake. It's Blake, Teddy. Well, that completed the group. It looked like Alton and Elroy were the only dead so far. I can't talk. We're just moving now. They got Stacy. No, let's do something different. They got Connor. He called me saying they were tailing him. And then they made him call me as they finished him off. He said they were coming for me next. They're outside, I think. They're outside, I think, Teddy. I think I see them in their cars. It's too late us to get away. Sorry, Blake. I really am. They told me to call you. They told me to call you before they hung up Connor's phone. Teddy stopped shy of the stairwell, but Angela kept going with Javi and got there first. What are you saying, Blake? He told me to tell you that you did wait too long. It didn't matter anyway. He said that about me, Blake? I'm sorry, Teddy. Angela opened the stairwell. And let out a little squeak of fright. Teddy dropped the phone and ran for her, knowing it was already too late. Mr. Gower from down the hall stepped aside and said, Mr. Gower from down the hall stepped aside and said, "Sorry, Angela. Sorry, Javi. Didn't mean to startle you." Just coming home late. That's all right, she said with more composure than Teddy thought he could muster. Sorry to rush, Mr. Gower, but we have to go. He hustled his girlfriend down the stairs. Sorry to rush, Mr. Gower, but we have to go. He hustled his girlfriend down the stairs, holding her shoulder to help her keep her balance, with Javi in her arms. Your phone. Mr. Gower called after them. think one of you dropped your phone. That's fine. Teddy said as they kept going. He was only getting bad news tonight anyway. All right. I think that's going to be the end of the story. Obviously, it might be more satisfying if I get them out to the car and get them gone, but I don't know if that's where the story needs to go. So I might expand this when I edit it tomorrow. But that's coming for you. I'm coming for you first.